Hello, good day. Before we start, first I want to ask you some questions. Here's the questions. From these titles, as you can see, are they familiar to you? Maybe at home, you've used one of their products if they're a corporation, or by any chance, you don't even know that they're corporations. Well, because today my presentation is going to resolve mostly about these three titles. Yes, as you can already guess, my presentation today is going to be about multinational corporations, or as you guys would like to say, as the MNCs. Alright, so now let's define multinational corporations. As any other thing that you should know, that everything has a definition. So for the real, the MNC's definition is actually a corporation that controls productions facilities in more than one country, such facilities having been acquired through the process of foreign direct investment. So basically, an MNC is a type of corporation or company that runs through the business line across many countries at its members and working as a working hand. As it has expands through many countries, their services can be different to the diversities of the countries that it focuses on. And next up, we've seen a lot of different companies in our lives, right? Like we eat their products, we use their products, but can we even classify them as a mere company? Big or not, a company is also have their own classifications. So how can we even classify a one company that known as an MNC? Well, now I'm going to tell you four differences of what kind of MNCs that exist. The first point of an MNC is their subsidiaries that existed in different countries, as well as their operational work is also existed in many number of countries by only one company name. This explains why the MNCs got their other calling as the international companies, all because of their immense popularity throughout the world as well as the international needs of their existing products, such as people can't have their own personal computer if Microsoft didn't even exist. The next third point of an MNC is their increasingly high proportion assets in or and revenues directly from global operations they made. The bigger their product of positions, the bigger the amount of revenues they can get. And the last point is about the company's stakeholders. As the title was saying, an MNC operates mainly on different countries respectively. It means that the people who holds grudge for the company also comes from a different origins of countries in the world, represents as a managing structure for the company branches from each of their countries. Okay, for the next part of the discussion, I will explain more about how MNCs become what it is today. Many parts of the world after the end of the World War II begin to have the common mindset on how to make money through legal business throughout the world. This mindset was then developed into reality in the early 20th century post-World War II. A common layout of an MNCs is how people start developing their own products inside of their own country and then decided to manufacture them abroad. Companies like this was the starting first day of an MNC we know today. Post-World War II affects mainly in the western region of the world. That's why most of the successful MNCs that lives until today were either an American or Western European origin, even though it's not limited to that. In Asia, Japan was the first country to make their move towards this kind of move. As a historical example, I will choose this particular long disbanded company, as this company also connects to Indonesia's historical records throughout the colonial days. The United East India Company, or the United East Indian Company, also known as the United East Indies Company, or we people of Indonesia commonly refer them to as VOC, was originally established as a chartered company back in 1602, when the Dutch government granted it a 21-year monopoly on the Dutch spice trade. The reason why I choose this company is actually a pretty straightforward reason, because this Amsterdam-based company was a pioneering early model of the multinational corporation in its modern sense. The company is also often considered to be the world's first true transnational corporation. So basically, we Indonesian was once been in contact to the world's first multinational corporation in the past colonial days. The next part of the discussion will involve around the four aspects of structured planning method that evaluates around four elements, or SWOT, SWOT in short. An MNC is still considered as an element of business context. Therefore, it must have four of these aspects of strength, weaknesses, opportunity, and threats, which will help us see the best advantages and/or the worst threats that the MNC has to offer us. The strength of MNC. The first is a low production and distribution cost based on the current currency strength on each countries. The second is a top quality international management makes a well-developed infrastructure. The weaknesses of an MNC. The first is the location. The location is often very distant as it was a cross-country operational corporation. And the second is a ridiculous amount of distance between countries could overcome into a lack of transportation facilities between countries. The opportunities of an MNC is first is a leverage government, and the second is the uniquely made infrastructure will mostly attract new industries. Lastly is a threats that could affect the MNCs. The first, the MNC can be threatened by a couple of government's restrictions. And the second, the MNC could do a limited production based on the existing quota on the designated country. Now, for the last segment of the discussion is all about the people's reasons of why they decided to make an MNC of all things. These reasons was mostly based on the common reason why people do make business. The first reason is to increase the market share. Without a proper distribution of products from our company, it is presumably hard to increase our company's market share. But by making an internationally active proportions, our market share could rise up through the rising consumption, not just from our country, but from the others as well. The second is to secure cheaper premises and labor. By making our company into an internationally active company, the working hand could also increase and will come at the right time when we need it. Not just that, but the labor cost will also become cheaper, as the working hands will now not only comes from our country, but from the outside as well. The third point is the employment and health and safety regulations in our countries may become more relaxed, as our company has an interconnectedness from the international world, making a different terms and conditions to different aspects and may lighten the other countries' regulations. The fourth point is to avoid or minimize the amount of tax to be paid. This is the most iconic reasons behind all this. As an international corporation, the tax regulations of our company could become cheaper due to the changing costs of each of the branched countries, making a less decreasing profit each day. The fifth point is to take advantage of the government grants available, so we could use them for our own needs without violating the rules on each country. The sixth point is to save on cost of transporting goods to the marketplace internationally, because by having a number of branches on each countries, we could preserve more cost on transportation, as we already has our own transporting facility inside of our company. And last but not least is to develop an international brand that everyone in the world would open up to. A successful multinational corporation is marked by its popularity to the international vision, thus making it a brand that everyone wants or even needs in their lives. Alright, thank you everyone who's been watching. This is the end of my presentation video for the multinational corporations. I hope you enjoyed the video and thank you very much for watching.